Today's edition of Forever Home, we're talking about electrical work. We have a customer called us because their landscape lighting outside where their pond is and some different things, when they first put it in, they were having a problem with the breaker tripping constantly. And the electrician came back out and they looked at it and they couldn't find anything wrong, and they switched out some of the components outside to see if that was causing a problem. They tested the lines, they weren't finding any shorts. So what could possibly be going wrong? And sometimes when you have one of these problems where it's just not obvious what's happening, the simplest answer is the correct one. It's possible for breakers to go bad. So what we're going to be doing today, we're going to swip into the panel here and we're going to replace the breaker. We're also going to replace the GFI outlet outside, just for good measure, so we're not making a return trip if it's one versus the other. And I really do hate to just throw parts at things, but sometimes when it's a challenge like this and you've had the electricians out and they've done all the smart work to look at it, sometimes you just need to throw some parts at it and see what happens. We do have customers call us from time to time with problems with the new GFI arc fault breakers constantly tripping whenever you start the vacuum cleaner up. So I tagged this breaker before we took the thing apart, so I knew which one it was going to be. We're going to pop this breaker out of here. And our customer was good enough to take a picture and send it to us that had the model number of the panel that he had, so we were able to go to the supply house and get a breaker before we actually came out, which saves some time and helps keep cost of the project down, so we're not making a store run in the middle of all this. We're going to take one off, we're going to put the other one on. We're going to label that one as bad question mark. And then we're going to put this back together and see if this solves the problem. Timeout. Now, am I suggesting as a homeowner you should just go take the panel off your cover off your electrical panel and start swapping breakers out? No, I'm not suggesting that. There's lots of good ways to die inside of that panel, especially if you don't know what you're doing. So there's also a lot of suggestions and guidelines and rules for codes for how things are supposed to be set up in that panel. So if you don't know what you're doing, no, I don't want you just jumping in your panel. But what I also don't want is I don't want some electrician or contractor coming in and taking a very simple problem and selling you $2,000 worth of, we're going to rip up the conduit, we're going to put new feed through your yard, we're going to replace a whole bunch of components in your panel when you just watched me do that in about 2.5 minutes, and sell you this big dog and pony show that you don't really need, when it could be as simple as, ask them, can we just try swapping the breaker out first? For the hour service call and the anywhere from a $5 to a $25, $35, $55 part, depending on what type of breaker you need. It might be worth doing that before you spend $2 or $3 grand to rip up a whole bunch of underground anything and try to have something replaced. That maybe we should try the simple stuff first. Okay, so that's step one. Couple things that can happen when you're working in electrical panels. Have I seen breakers go bad? Yes. Have I seen GFI breakers go bad? Yes. Have I seen GFI outlets themselves go bad? Yes. But we've also seen it where somebody's daisy chains them down the line, or you're selling your house, you're buying your house, and the home inspector comes through and says, oh, you must have GFI outlets in all of your bathrooms. And some of these inspectors, I guess, don't realize that you can protect multiple outlets downstream with one GFI if it's wired correctly. But they'll come through and mandate, oh, you have to have a GFI in every bathroom. So now you got 4 of these things in sequence, and we've done another video of that, and that's here on our YouTube channel. But then, you trip one or something trips out, and they all go off. And now you don't know which one you have to reset. and you're hunting around the house because you can't find that one elusive outlet that actually starts it all. And maybe it's outside by the front door or the back door, or maybe it's in the garage, and sadly sometimes people put their freezers on those and don't realize it. They do have ones with audible alarms, so if you do have a freezer on it, it goes off, there's an audible alarm that'll trip and chirp at you and tell you that you lost it, so you have a chance of saving your food. But those are just some of the things that we run into, and like I said, sometimes the easiest answer is the simplest answer is the correct one. So we'll switch the breaker out here, we'll put the new one in, and really appreciate our client being able to send us some pictures, because that saves us having to come out here, take it apart, go back to the store. I shot a video the other day in store. There's about 8 or 9 different types of breaker connection assemblies and how they clip into these panels. So just to give you a quick overview, there's like 18 different types of circuit breakers, and it really matters. We have to know which box we're going into and how it connects. So this is a Siemens brand breaker, and on the bottom of that you see this little clip that drops into the rail that way and then kicks down this way, and you can see how wide and how deep that channel is. And that one's actually going with me. This is a completely different style. This actually has to hook over a rail and then clip down with that style clip. And I'm not fully sure whose breaker that one is off the top of my head. So here's another different style where it clips on in the back, and it's got much smaller, and the clip runs the opposite direction there in the front. So that's different. It's a real skinny one too. This is a square D, which looks a lot more like the Siemens. But I had another one here. Okay, so let's compare these two. See how that slot is way deeper on one than the other? So whatever breaker this Siemens is designed for, it obviously has a much skinnier blade that goes up in there, as opposed to the square D and the other Siemens style where the blade can actually stick through the front edge. So it's kind of important that we figure out what panel we're working in, so that we can determine, you know, those clips are in the same spot. Great. So square D may work on some things, but this, you know, we got to find those cross reference charts and see if what we got is going to fit. So this looks like a Cutler hammer. I don't see a name on it, but it's got a different clip here in the back where it drops over a rail, and it's got those teeth in the front for the contacts. Yeah, these are Eaton Type CH, which is Type CH, I think it's Cutler hammer. It's an older panel. And here's yet another style. This is a square D, where it has a rail in the back that doesn't have voltage to it, and a similar rail in the front that does have voltage to it. So that's a different style. And then of course you got your double poles, where you're picking up 2 legs, and that's just the hold down clip in the back. So this is a GE breaker, and it has some similar characteristics to these other ones, where it's got some sort of a rail in the back that drops over and then snaps in. But is that necessarily compatible with the square D? Maybe, maybe not. It probably depends on the panel, whether or not you can substitute them and get them in. Here's another GE breaker. And then of course you got the ones that have the built-in, you know, GFI or AFCI, arc fault, ground fault. There's different ways of putting extra safety features into the breakers. The GFIs I'm used to have these extra pigtails on them for the neutrals. Here's a Siemens version of it. And then this is a dual function where it's got a CAFI. So it depends what you're looking for. All kinds of different choices, different options. So it's important we know what panel we're in when we're trying to figure this stuff out. Hope that helps. See ya. And I'll show you just on this one. So right here, we've got the back clip that clips in, and then the front tab that drops down. It feels like it's in decent shape, but you know, something could be causing that to be able to trip prematurely. If you ever look at what's inside of there, it's just a bimetal spring. It's 2 pieces of metal, and they heat up at different rates. that causes them to pop, and I'm sure somebody can give you a way more technical description than that, but that spring can wear out, and then it pops prematurely, even in a normal load, not an excessive load where you're having a short or you're having a problem. So that's step one. We're gonna go outside, we're gonna change the GFI, and we're gonna see what we get into. All right, so we've taken the waterproof cover off the box outside here. And the first thing I want to look at as I take this apart is I'm looking to see if there's any wires that are touching. Is the neutral near the ground? Because if the neutral gets near the ground, that's going to cause this to trip out prematurely, because the outlet's going to sense that something's not right. So I'm just looking to see if there's any potential problems with how the ground was pushed in. Is it making contact somewhere that it shouldn't? I don't see anything that's a problem. I did turn the breaker back off downstairs, by the way, before we started doing this. Second thing we're going to look at is make sure that they wired it correctly. Is the white on the white side? Is the hot on the hot side? And is it on the line side coming in and not on the load side? I've seen these wired backwards, well, that's goofy. So these do have an inside and an outside, basically. The power comes in one side, it goes out the other. If you do that correctly, everything down line will be protected, like I was telling you about downstairs. When someone starts insisting that you have an outlet in each bathroom, you don't need it. Everything down line is protected if you wire it correctly. But now, if you come in and out the line side, the power side coming in, then you're not getting that downstream protection. And maybe in the case of really, that was interesting. That tripped really easy. I'm not sure I hit the button or not, but take one of those out, grab the new one. Essentially looks like the same one. And we're going to put this one back in there. See if this solves the problem for us. Now, you said this trips out like once a day or something, so we're not going to know immediately whether this solves it, but by the end of the day, sometime tomorrow, we should have a pretty good idea when our client gives us a call and tells us what's up. Now, if this doesn't solve the problem, what's the next step? Well, the next step is to either come back in here and do some more line test, or he said that it trips even with this not plugged in. So if it trips when this is not plugged in, the problem is not the underground lighting system. It's something between here and the basement. So we've put brand new devices in. If it still trips, either we got unlucky and one of those brand new devices is messed up, or there's a problem in this underground line when water gets in. Now, this is UF cable. You're not gonna be able to see it from there, but UF cable has a different shielding on it that protects it from the ultraviolet sun rays. And so they have the right, you could have pulled individual stranded through here. I don't have a problem with you pulling UF cable through here. Some people will tell you probably shouldn't put that through the box, but at the end of the day, it gets the power where it needs to get to. The danger is people are worried about it overheating inside conduit. So take that for what it's worth. I'm sure somebody will yell at me about it, but we'll get the new outlet in for them, and we'll see if this fixes the problem. Like I said, if it doesn't, the next step is to work on the underground and possibly pull a new line through the conduit, which I'm assuming runs over to the front of the house here somewhere, and then in through the foundation wall. Okay, so we got an underground pull. I'm guessing there's a hand box over there, and then we can take the next steps. But hopefully it doesn't come to that. That's the goal. So this is Drew for 𝗂𝘁'𝘀, your full service construction and renovation company here on Forever Home. If we can help solve a problem for you, roofing, siding, windows, doors, decks, anything on the interior, finished basements, bathrooms, kitchens, plumbing, electrical, drywall, spackle, paint, there's nothing our team doesn't do. We'll build you a custom dream home, a garage, put an addition on your house. Give our team a call. We have a dedicated office staff standing by weekdays, 9:30 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon at 484-748-0008. Choose option 2 for 𝗂𝘁'𝘀 and extension 2 for new projects, and our team will be happy to assist you. Fastest way to get hold of our team, take a picture of your problem like our client did with this, send us the model numbers, whatever's going on, and send those to us right here on our Facebook page. Click that Contact Us button up there at the top. Send that to our team, and we can get back to you with a price and an estimate and figure out what it's going to take to get your problem resolved. If you're watching on the Facebook page, please click the like button so you get updated on all of our events and what's going on and the projects we're working on, pictures and videos and photos. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and click the notifications bell so that, again, you're going to get all kinds of tips and ideas for how to solve things around your house. And more importantly, if you're interviewing a contractor that you know the right questions to ask so you can figure out whether they're blowing smoke or if they actually know what they are talking about. So we're hoping to help educate you so that you can really see what goes into doing these projects correctly, how your home is supposed to be put together, and making sure that when you're asking those contractors to explain to you how they're going to solve that flashing problem, how they're going to solve that siding problem, or what they think the issue might be, that you've got somebody that actually knows what's going on. So quick update, we've been here for about 5 minutes and we got everything turned on manually so the lights are on. Everything's on, seems to be staying on. So it's not just done. It was coat built. We'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye for now.